Welcome to Facts TV News, where everything is true. St. James man charged for assaulting, threatening woman with a licensed gun. A St. James man accused of pulling his licensed firearm on a woman and threatening to kill her has been charged. He is 44-year-old Ricardo O, a customer service manager of Bow Village, who has been charged with assault at common law, unlawful wounding and illegal possession of firearm. A date is yet to be set for who to appear in court. The police report that about 4 p.m. on Saturday, August 6, the complainant and another woman were in Rain Park and they got into an argument where both started throwing stones at each other. It is alleged that Wo got involved and pushed the complainant to the ground, pointing his firearm to her face and threatened to kill her. The police were informed and an investigation was launched. Subsequently, Wo turned himself into the police in the presence of his attorney. He was charged for a question and answer interview. Man charged for a Dream Weekend phone theft collapses in court. One of the 3 men accused of stealing $2 million worth of cell phones during the recent Dream Weekend party event has been sent for medical treatment after he collapsed in the Westmoreland Parish Court yesterday. Presiding Judge Sean Walters made the order in relation to Warren Scabello, who the defendant fell and appeared to cough up blood moments after the bail hearing was put off to August 16. The bail hearing, which had originally set for August 3rd, was deferred a second time following the revelation that the defendant's criminal records had not been brought for Kingston. The other accused in the case are Karen Liscombre and Devon Robinson. The 3 defendants were held and later charged following a police operation on July 31st, during which several items were seized. The items included 16 iPhones, 2 Samsung Galaxy phones, 2 laptops, and a 36R SIMs, which are used to unlock phones. The police also recovered $200,000 in cash and Euro $30. The items were allegedly stolen from patrons of the Dream Weekend event, which was held in Negril between July 29 and August 1. Missingclarendon fishermen feared dead. 2 Clarendon fishermen who were seen heading to sea south of Rocky Point last Friday has gone missing and have been feared dead. The men 42-year-old Robert Weird and 29-year-old Lucky Ellis, both of Portland Cottage addresses, reportedly set out about 10 a.m. Jonathan Weird, father of Robert, believes his son is dead. The senior Weird told reporters that another fisherman had related that his son's boat had become faulty and that Robert and his colleagues ran into difficulties while returning from Pedro Bank, where they had gone fishing. Him same snap day, him see Robert a bail out water out of the boat with a bucket. Then him drive off, but when him turn and look back round, him no see Robert. After that, him see the next 2 boats run back, and him ask if them see Robert, and them say, "How come you go ask with Robert, and now you and him a drive?" Recounted Weird. "I hear say the boat them a come in, and my son boat burst. If it boat burst, and them fi stop and wait for him and travel with him," said Weird. "If the boat a sink, all him woulda do is to jump out of it, going a fi them boat, but through them leave him now. The boat burst and sink, and nobody no see him from that. Him dead left 2 little girls." Weird said several hours-long searches by other fisher folk since Friday had failed to locate the fishermen. "Them no find no boat, no jug, nothing," he bemoaned. Ellie's family is also shaken. His aunt, Winsome Malabry, said the family was still clinging to hope. "Even now, I'm just looking to see him walking in the yard. The family is really shocked, and we're just hoping and wishing that he would just come home. We're not taking it good at all," Malabry told reporters on Monday. Barbara Graham of the Portland Cottage Citizens Association told reporters that the men were active members of the community and their disappearance has shocked fellow residents. Recounting her last encounter with Robert, Graham said, "The last time I saw him, we were together at a function, and he was representative from my community, and he was there giving his input in a mangrove project meeting and how it affects them in terms of fishing. Anyone knowing the whereabouts of the men is asked to contact the Lionelton Police at 876-986-3233, Police Emergency at 119, or the nearest police station." The men's disappearance followed April 20 case of 4 men from the neighboring communities of Rocky Point and Racecourse who went missing. Their remains were among 5 set found in shallow grave along the banks of the Sandy Gully in St. Andrew weeks later. Former home murdered man for failing to return contract killing money loses appeal. A St. Elizabeth man who murdered another for refusing to return $100,000 for a contract killing that was not done has lost his appeal against his 15-year prison term. Sanchez Plot 33, a farmer of Ginger Gun District in Malvern, pleaded guilty in the St. Elizabeth Circuit Court in March 2018 to the murder of 31-year-old Everton Mullins. He was sentenced to 15 years imprisonment, but Justice Martin Gale reduced it by 5 years and ordered that Spall serve 15 years before he would be eligible for parole. Spall appealed on the grounds that, based on the facts presented, the sentence was harsh and excessive. He said the judge did not temper justice with mercy, as his guilty plea was not taken into consideration. Attorney-at-law Hugh Wilson, who represented Spall, had asked that the sentence be reduced to 10 years. Prosecutors Orrit Brown and Renil Morgan had argued that the sentence was not excessive. The Court of Appeal ruled last week that the sentence was not excessive. The facts of the case were that in 2015, Spall contracted Mullins for a price of $100,000 to kill an individual. He paid the money, but Mullins did not carry out the plan and stopped answering Spall's phone calls. Spall became upset that the job was not done and subsequently told the deceased he had some ganja for him at a hut. When Mullins turned up on October 21, 2015, Spall pointed a gun at him, tied him up in bushes and instructed him to call his family members to bring the $100,000 or he would kill him. The relatives did not comply, and on the 5th day, when Mullins tried to escape, Spall shot him dead. Spall transported the body to a dump site near the Bureau Vista housing scheme in St. Elizabeth and set it on fire. Residents found the body on October 27, 2015 and called the police. Spall was also charged with kidnapping, but the prosecution did not pursue the offense after he pleaded guilty to murder. A man called Rasta had accompanied Mullins to the hut, but when he saw Spall pointing a gun at the deceased, he ran away. Consultations on dress and grooming policy for schools now underway. Consultation on the long-awaited dress and grooming policy for schools have gotten underway. The first consultation got underway at the Jamaica College in St. Andrew. Education Minister Favour Williams says the grooming policy is set to consider cultural dynamics and the Jamaica's climatic conditions.
We're also aware that there are cultural dynamics and differences of opinion as to what may be considered appropriate and relevant to the child's education. This proposed policy will establish a comprehensive framework for treating with dress and grooming in our schools and take into consideration cultural identity, climate situation, and every time I read that, I go, but we only have one climate in Jamaica. But then I remember that it gets cool in parts like Mandeville, and so children may be required to wear sweaters. Socioeconomic consideration of parents and the aims of educational institution. This framework clarifies the ministry's stance and will seek to reduce discriminatory practices in schools while addressing the need for discipline and development of societal values. We know that there is a growing emphasis on student-centered learning, diversity, and social inclusion that challenge traditional notions of conformity typified in uniform requirements. Additionally, there have been significant developments in law in relation to public administration, human rights, anti-discrimination, coupled with a greater awareness on the part of both parents and students as to the avenues available to challenge schools' disciplinary decisions. We know too from previous discussions that students have their perspectives. Among them is what they want. They want increased participation in rule-making process and school governance generally, that rules should be fair and not arbitrarily determined or dependent on the inclination of the principal, that sanctions should be commensurate to offenses and schools should offer incentives for compliance, and those in authority should be held accountable to observe the ministry's policy guidelines. Our hope is that through this series of consultations and dialogue, we can reach broad agreements on what is in the best interest of our children. Among the first things we hope to have concretized is that every public educational institution must have a documented student dress and grooming policy in keeping with the broad mandate of the ministry. And this, we believe, will help to mitigate some of the conflicts that arise because of the lack of information or the varying expectations. Among the first things we hope to have concretized is that every public educational institution must have a documented student dress and grooming policy in keeping with the broad mandate of the ministry. And this, we believe.
PNP leader says he is convinced Jamaica wants his party back in office. Leader of opposition Mark Golden says he is convinced the people of Jamaica want the PNP back in office. Golden, who was speaking at a party event this past weekend, says the ruling JLP has failed the country and is now up to the PNP to perform a rescue act. Golden says the failures of the current administration are fertile ground for the PNP.
This government is not responding to the real crisis on the people, and the people are growing tired of them. So, comrades, the ground is fertile for us. We just need to do what we are doing. We have come together nicely. We are all committed to the task of building our party from the ground up, making us ready and strong to take on the battles that will be ahead of us. The Jamaican people are depending on us. Everywhere I go, people say, make sure you win next time, you know? Make sure you win next time. The people want us back because they want a caring government, a government of integrity, and a government that will put the people first in every decision that we make.
Please remember to subscribe, like, share,